Welcome back to Game On. We're kicking things off with some Colac Tigers football news. The Tigers went down to Newtown by 11 points. They were unable to hold off the Eagles, ending their 3-game win streak. But it was a pretty close game, and Colac coach Jason Armstead said they probably just missed a few opportunities. I think in particular that third quarter, when they probably had a bit of a breeze to put the Eagles away.
Yeah, it was disappointing. It probably felt like it was going to be difficult mentally to replicate what we'd done the week before against St Mary's. Army kind of had the mantra to make the sequel better than the original, but we weren't quite able to do that. Our backs, they probably weren't quite as good as what they have been. They probably have been our best line for the season, but they probably got done one too many times, and that hurt a little bit. But our mids were really strong, and it was probably the old boys that wound back the clock a little bit. Ryan Monaghan, Cody Spokes and Kane Smart were my three standouts. Ryan Monaghan had 19 touches and 8 clearances. Cody Spokes had 18 touches and 8 clearances. Dominating that midfield battle. We won it. We won the clearances 49-30 in the end, which should suggest that we dominated the game. But Braden Hocking for them behind the ball. He was great in the air, and they had 21 intercept marks to 9. So we just couldn't get it past him. And they had two quarters where they kicked 6 goals in a quarter, and it's always going to be hard to win when that happens.
Yeah, it looked like a physical game. Heard you took a bit of a hit.
Yeah, I did. I got the wind taken out of me, as you can see on the back page today. So I appreciate that, boys. But I'm feeling it this morning.
In Tigers netball, unfortunately, the girls lost 72-39 to the Eagles, top of the ladder Eagles, let it be said. But Ava Colahan, another good week in defence. That makes 2 best on courts in the past 3 rounds. And she said that the return of Georgia Finn in the mid-court has really helped pick up a bit of cohesion through the group, even though she's been involved for a couple of weeks. There's a sense that the team's clicking a bit better, and then specifically defensively, Ava and Layla Holt have been growing a bit better, a bit more cohesion as the weeks progressed.
And you said they've tried a bit of a different defensive scheme yesterday. How did that kind of work?
Yeah, so Ava said that they started out with a bit of a box defence against 2 very experienced Eagles goalers by the sounds of it. But once that was broken, Ava said that the IQ of the goalers was extremely. It was one of the best that they've faced this season so far. So they moved to a bit of a split ring formation and then a bit of one-on-one after that.
The other exciting one on the other end of the court is Mary Place. She had 23 goals on the weekend, which moves her into the top 5 for the competition, which is impressive in a struggling side.
Illawarra Beck enjoyed a 2-point win over Alvey in a low-scoring thriller, and it had to be Harry Carmody, the game winner, the game sealer in a sense for Illawarra Beck. Obviously a former Alvey player, crossed to the Bombers this off-season, but he was really good. Cam Park, Illawarra coach Cam Parker said his physicality was great, and against a side that he probably knew was going to get a bit of attention to, obviously crossing to the opposition side, but they said Harry was great, and it was a very even game. I think it was low scoring, as I said, but Alvey kept Illawarra in the contest with some wayward kicking there out at Alvey.
It sounded as if, as you said, Lou, tight contest throughout the game, but the Bombers managed to cut the margin in the third quarter, which could have proved pivotal in such a tight game, hitting the front going into the fourth. Thanks to a lot of hard work, apparently, from Mitch Thornton. The Swans were down bench rotations in that last quarter, with Will Riddell, Jensen Monaghan and Lockie Marnie all suffering injuries. Yeah,
the win just takes the Bombers to just outside the 5 based on percentage there, and it's really spicing up as we head into the back end of the year. Lorne reminded us all exactly what they are made of with a 57-point win over Birregurra, and the difference was an 8-goal final term, and it takes the Dolphins to top of the ladder for the first time this season, and there was a little surprise packet there, Luke. Yeah,
obviously Premiership star Charlie McCartan, he played his first game for the season for Lorne, and he went forward in the last quarter and kicked second half, and kicked 6 goals, and that was probably the difference in the game. James Hughes, he also kicked 7 for Lorne, so 2 key forwards had a bit of a day out there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, by the final game margin, you wouldn't have expected it to be as close a game as it was, but the Birregurra managed to level scores halfway through the third quarter. Dolphins did manage to get a bit of momentum going into the fourth by moving McCartan from centre half back into the forward line. where I think assistant coach Bryce Vincent said, well, he believes that he didn't actually miss a shot on goal, so 6 from 6. In regards to McCartan, Vincent isn't sure whether he'll stay around for too long and expects the VFL player to head back to Geelong at some point.
The Colac Imps make it 7 on the trot with a 48-point win over South Colac, but the worry were for Roos players Tom McKean and Zach Downer. They were both handed yellow cards in the match.
The Western Eagles made it back-to-back wins against Otway District, beating them by 42 points. They got off to a blistering start in the first quarter, and I think they booted 5 goals to 1 with Baden Lapino. He kicked the first 3 of the game, so and that probably remained the margin all day.
Yeah, and in the Simpson Apollo Bay game, Simpson have snapped a 7-game losing streak with a 15-point win over Apollo Bay. The Bay headed into the half with a half-time lead. And so, it's been a winless season so far, smelling their first win potentially, unable to quite get there. And Tristan Smith did say it was a little bit disappointing for the Hawks, but, good signs from Simpson. To CDFNL Netball, game of the week, guys. Birregurra tie with Lorne, 47 apiece. The 4th place Saints were put to the test against the Dolphins.
Yeah, and the teams were tied at 3/4 time. I think the biggest lead of the game was 4 goals at half time, so it was a really tight tussle down there at Lorne. But Birregurra coach Saskia Rowan, she said her team just can't afford to get complacent in any game, especially in this competition with it being so even. I think 1st to 9th, anyone could probably win on their day. So it's a very even competition, and Saskia Rowan, really said that they need to make sure they bring their A game each week.
Yeah, accurate shooting was the theme of the day. State Stafford does what she does best and went 42 from 48, but Tess Blake was great as well. She had 29 goals from 31 attempts, and now, boys, 2 points just separates 5th and 7th, making it one of the most competitive seasons we've seen in a long, long time.
Colac Imperials defeated South Colac by 19 goals in the Cataroo Cup. I think they retained it, did they, from the first week?
Yep.
They had a massive first half. I think 14-goal lead at half time, which really set up the game for the Imps.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the Imps' lowest scoring quarter was 18 goals in the first and third quarters. Unfortunately, I think a large part of that went down to Ruse Jestella going down with a suspected ankle injury in the first quarter. And that allowed Kiara Foster to get rolling, 53 goals in the day. But Ruby Kerr was an absolute workhorse. Imps coach Chloe Gray said about the wing defender.
Yeah, she just contested every possession against Janelle Monaghan there. And Kels Jeffries said the Roos had some good patches, but they were just chasing all day against the Imps.
Western Eagles defeated the Otway Districts 54 to 52. It's 2 wins on the trot for the Eagles, and it does mean that 7 of the 8 Otway losses this season have come by less than 10 goals, 3 of which have been less than 5 goals.
A strong shooting performance from Eliza Dynhoven. She shot 38 goals for Simpson, helped them beat Apollo Bay. The Tigers have moved closer to the top 5. It's just percentage separating 5th and 6th now. They also had Talia Daniel. She played her first game in A grade this season.
Yeah, Illawarra Beck made a bit of a statement with a 13-goal win over Alvey. Ruby Bowers was out for the Swans, which obviously hurt them, but they had debutantes Sophie Lakine and season debut from Darcy Barrow.
And the top goal scorers around are the hot shots on the courts. First place, Kiara Foster, 53 goals. We mentioned Sunday Stafford with 42, and rounding it out, as he said, Eliza Dynhoven, 38 goals for Simpson.
In cricket news, Isaac Nazida will return to Apollo Bay in a bid to help the club return to Division 1 cricket for this upcoming season.
Yeah, Lou, the club announced that Nazida is returning to his home club to captain coach the Sharks after a season with Geelong in the Vic Premier League.
Yeah, last time he was at the Bay in 23-24, he averaged 28.91 with 318 runs, and he also picked up seven wickets in that season, so a very handy addition with bat and ball.
To the Colac Otway Rovers, the Division 1 side lost 2-1 to Surf Coast, but young Desi Arunga opened the scoring for the Rovers in the 5th minute, which sent a bit of a shock to the ladder leaders, you'd think.
Yeah, and the Coasters responded pretty quickly with, I think it was 6 minutes later, they scored an equaliser before new Rovers goalkeeper Jack Cook on debut. He let one through, an own goal against his former side, which wasn't great for the Rovers. But after half time it was scoreless, so that was all the action, I suppose. After half time, there was a fair bit of defending going on.
Yeah, there were a couple of disappointing results in the other senior games. The Division 2 Rovers lost 4-0 to Deakin University, and then a real tough day for the Division 3 boys. They went down 10-0 to the Golden Plains. It was another routine win for the Division 2 Braves side. They got the job done 7-0 against Werribee there, but it was Brad Egan who was absolutely super. He had 16 strikeouts for the day and just still had 5 hits in his 7 innings.
Yeah, and Braves president Jamie Harris said that the bottom of the batting lineup was strong again for the Braves. Stephen Lambert, Tom Fraser, Tim Dixon combined for 7 of the team's 13 hits in the win. Lambert specifically led the team with 3 hits with 4 at-bats, and runs came in the 3rd, 6th, 7th and 8th innings.
And unfortunately for the Division 4 side, they lost their first game of the season, going down 10-3 to Werribee. There was a 9-game win streak that ended for them.
Now back to the Colac Herald's Players of the Week. Boys, I'm going to start off with Brad Egan, 16 strikeouts, only 5 hits in 7 innings. Good day out on the mound.
Mine's someone we've already mentioned in the hot shots, but Kiara Foster from Colac Imperial shot 53 goals from 61 attempts. So that was pretty impressive shooting from her.
Yeah, that's a ripper day. And I had James Hughes. He stood up when it really mattered in the big game. He kicked 7 goals, and yeah, you can't do much more than that.
Thanks for watching Game On. We'll be back next week with all the sporting action.